I never would have thought I would have foregone college and went straight pro. Being able to see that part of soccer and the NWSL grow and just creating more opportunities for younger players, I think that was when I was like, wow, it has grown so much since I have been playing soccer and even started watching.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to another Birdies conversation where we talk about kicking down barriers. Angel City has partnered with Birdies, our jersey sleeve sponsor and the brand behind the most stylish and comfortable flats, and we are back to lead with purpose on this talk series to discuss important topics to help women and all people rise up both personally and professionally. In this episode, it was an honor to speak with two trailblazers in the women's game, Angel City rookie Alyssa Thompson and our general manager Angela Hucles Mangano. From first-round draft picks to Spain's World Cup victory, we explore how far the game has come and the path we're blazing forward. So sit back, relax, and soak in all this inspiration. Well, cool. Well, let's get into this combo. We're going to start with you, Alyssa. You just got back from your first World Cup. It had to be, I don't know if you're still processing that experience. I'm sure it might be layers through the year, through your life. But right now, what was your favorite moment of that stretch?
I would have to say going into my first game, because I just felt so much excitement and I didn't feel a lot of pressure just because we were winning, and I just felt that everyone supported me, and it felt like everything that I've been working for this year has led to that moment and playing in that game. So it felt really, really good, and I was just overcome with excitement and joy. So it was really nice.
I can only imagine. And Ange, I know you can relate to those experiences. You've been on that world stage many times. Aside from the wins, the big wins, what would you say would be your proudest moment?
You know, it's interesting because I think, sitting here with Alyssa, I feel like it helps me to actually have a different perspective about it. Just having, experiences in Olympics and World Cups in terms of what that proudest moment is. And I think because I had different roles in every World Cup I played in and every Olympics that I played in, being a part of that team, I think just making that team, because, as Alyssa just said, everything that she worked toward and worked for to get to that first game, the amount of people who actually have an opportunity of, one, getting called into a national team camp, to making a World Cup or an Olympic roster is an incredible achievement in and of itself. And I think you spend so much time and dedication and sacrifice. And I mean, just looking at Alyssa, what an incredible journey you have had already. And you have years and years ahead of you, right? And to actually get to that point of, and for you, a very short period of time, I would think, in your still young life, right? And you were just getting started. To get there is something that I am super proud of, because, I could go into a World Cup, I can go into an Olympics and have one game plan of, here's how we're going to play, here's your role, Ange, this is what, and I've literally had that change, right? I literally had that change in the 2008 Olympics. I, was coming off the bench. I wasn't sure how much playing time, if any, I was going to get in the Olympics. And then I became a starter and was a leading goal scorer of that tournament. I had no idea, right? And then, 2007 World Cup, I didn't see the field at all. And, I was one of two players that didn't get a single minute in that tournament. So to get there, to be a part of the team and to be on that journey is something that I'm incredibly proud of.
I can feel the gratitude from both of you. And it is such a testament to your sacrifice, and not just what you were doing on the field and you've both been a part of on the field for the game, but everything you've also been doing off the field by giving your full selves to the game. Which I think is why we're so excited to have you here for this conversation about breaking barriers, because since women's soccer has been just women's soccer, it's always been breaking through some kind of barrier. And Ange, your generation of players really just to totally shift mindsets about what women's soccer could be. And then now, Alyssa, with yours, it's, demanding what it deserves and also creating new pathways and expanding, what it can be. So before we get into what we can learn necessarily from where the game's come and gone and where we're going. First, want to talk about just your relationship with the sport. I know you're in two different seats right now. So Alyssa, we'll start with you. What is your relationship with the game at this moment in time?
Yeah, I feel like it's soccer has always been like an outlet for me to like embrace my competitive and athletic side. And I feel like I just whenever I'm down or anything, soccer really takes my mind off of all the stuff going on the outside, and I can just like be happy and play the sport that I love. It kind of really takes me back to like I guess when I was a lot younger, just like first starting and just loving playing around. And I feel like I always get that joy when I'm playing. And yeah, that's it. It's been like up and down, and I'm still like trying to figure out how to like not make soccer my full identity, but I've been learning to like kind of try to separate myself and soccer, but yeah, that's just like a little bit.
Why do you think that's important?
I just think like my parents have always preached to me balance, and you need balance in your life to be able to be happy in both. And I think if you're consumed by something, it's not really that helpful, or it's not gonna make you all happy because you need balance. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely resonate with that, and I think then you get a different perspective. You're not just in it all the time and trying to figure it all out from being within.
Yeah.
And for you, what have you learned from the game? Like, you've had so many different relationships with it, I think, throughout your life. So what have you learned from it so far?
We could spend like a full hour on that question, because I think the game has been just this constant in my life. As much as I've held on to it and not had a good balance, right, with the sport, to trying to push it away to a degree, and just finding this piece with it's just a part of my life. It's a part of now I think more like a lifestyle. From a very young age, it's taught me so many things about myself, about how to respond in different situations, how to work with other people. It's helped to give me confidence. It's helped to teach me a lot of lessons. It's thrown a lot of challenges my way. I think it's connected me to communities. It's connected me to my own family in different ways. So it's played this constant role in my life, and I think it's given me so much. I think especially at the beginning stages when I first started playing, throughout as a player, and I now feel like I'm in this space and time where in my current role I feel like I'm now trying to give more to it, because I have been given so much, and hopefully through the sport being able to help impact players through this sport, because it's given me so much in a positive way. So I've just learned life lessons. I've learned how to communicate as a different language with the sport of soccer, but I think I've just learned about connection and the power of what that can really do, especially when you're doing it with a group of people with a shared vision and mission.
Yeah, no, humble servant is your heart, dude. You're just here to I love how you lead, and I'm so grateful that you're leading our team in this capacity as well. Kind of talking about the impact you want to have, and I know there's a lot of barriers currently right now for young girls wanting to play professional soccer, young girls of color, and I'm sure you experienced some when you were growing up too. So kind of going to both of those experiences, what are some barriers that you experienced? And then in your role now, how you were saying you're trying to give back to the game, what do you think are some of those barriers we can address now?
Yeah, I think a couple, when I look at race and gender, just from the start of it, especially from my journey, I mean, I played with all boys for the most part growing up. I typically was the only person of color as well. So I think, just not seeing people who look like me and not being able to necessarily relate was definitely one thing. And, there was no pro women's soccer league in our country when I first started, playing the sport. So I didn't necessarily have that to aspire to. And so I think now, being able to be in a position where, holding a leadership position where I never saw anybody who looked like me. I didn't really see women, I didn't really know that a female GM, I didn't know what a GM was, growing up and what that was. So lucky me that I found this path. But, I think they're
deserving you.
Yeah. Thank you. But I just think there are just so many things that just didn't exist. And so when you think about barriers and obstacles, and you hear Billie Jean King, the great Billie Jean King, saying, "See it to believe it," that just didn't exist. So, things had to be created. People ahead of me had to fight a good fight, had to create different things that didn't necessarily, in a space that didn't necessarily benefit them, but can now benefit someone like myself. And so I think that is part of, I would say, more of like American women's soccer culture, that there is this element of, constantly trying to push things forward for the next generation to come along. And, I think you said it eloquently, Fish, that, my journey through it is one thing, and Alyssa's is a whole nother thing, but there's still that element of, there's still a lot more to be done in the sport and in this space.
Where do you think that comes from? Like you said, American soccer. Like, why is it unique to American soccer?
I mean, I personally believe that we have benefited in a lot of ways that other countries have not, when we look at women's sports and when we look at culture and society for women in our world. And so I think we have been in advanced positions. So we have been able to lead in certain respects. I mean, I remember talking to some players on Canada who, this was like decades ago, about, what the U.S. team did to start to get, on salaries versus just like a per diem, what that looked like. So, having those conversations, way back in history, but to see what other teams could also learn from us, we have been at the forefront of a lot of these things. And, I think that has benefited us in a lot of ways. But I think we're now starting to see, with more investment and with more attention to this sport for women in other countries, like the benefits on the field too.
Oh, 100%. Like with the last World Cup, I mean, it was on display.
Exactly.
And I know it might be sensitive to say, sorry, Alyssa, but it sucks that the U.S. came out when we did. But it is a testament to the work of the U.S. women's national team, like what it's done for the game on that scale. And it's really powerful. So more barriers, like we were talking about. I think it's really cool how you both can relate to playing mostly with boys growing up. Alyssa, I read an article about your dad. He's like, I was going to find the biggest, I couldn't challenge her enough. I had to find the better team. I had to find the best. And, I think that's a barrier right now for the development of the women's game, is opportunities to push players like yourself. So what were some barriers that you experienced, and how did you just overcome those and face them, really?
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with my parents and a lot of sacrifice that they also put in. I know that I couldn't be driving myself to practice all the time. We would drive, when I was younger, 2 hours to Orange County. And they sacrifice a lot of money to pay for the clubs and stuff. So I think money and just the opportunity near someone's house, I feel like that is a big barrier, just because you're not able to practice if you are 2 hours away from the nearest club, or if it's so expensive, then how are people going to be able to pay and really get the work in that they need to be a good soccer player, or even just play soccer and see what it's about. So I think that's a big barrier that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, those are huge in the game, and I think there have been questions for a while on how we can address that stuff, and I no doubt our club will be a part of that, paving a new way in that aspect as well. Birdies, the game changer, the limited edition version of the Swift that rocks Angel City's official colors and emblem. This shoe is ready to inspire, support, and empower you to be a game changer. for both of you, has there been a personal turning point that you've experienced the growth of the game? Alyssa, we'll go back to you first.
Probably I feel like there's a couple different things, but from my experience, like when I felt it the most was being able to go pro or have that be an option for me. I think that I never would have thought I would have foregone college and went straight pro. When I was even a sophomore or junior, I was not thinking about skipping college. So being able to see that part of soccer and the NWSL grow and more people wanting to watch it and just creating more opportunities for younger players to continue to grow their game and be the best player they want to be and have this be a career for younger players, I think that was when I was like, wow, it has grown so much since I have been playing soccer and even started watching.
Oh, 100%. You're like sitting at Nike, being sponsored, still in high school, going pro. I just keep hearing my grandpa like, oh, you'll never make money playing soccer. Like, play golf. That's just, so you're like creating these like, not just ripples, but like just blowing through the door. And it's been so cool to witness and experience. And then for you to, come onto the field and just have the debuts that you've had and the performances all year. It's an honor to witness your journey right now and really see just what it's doing through the women's game. And Ange, I know you've experienced some growth, girl. Let me know. What are some?
Is that saying you're old?
You are part of. No, that's not saying it. It's also an honor to witness your journey right now.
I have two. I'm gonna steal one of Alyssa's, or steal Alyssa's too, because drafting Alyssa was like
humble brag.
One of those turning points that I seriously saw the growth. I'm like, holy crap! Like, to be able to have, and it's not just technical ability, right? But to have someone with less life experience with that much soccer IQ, ability, knowledge of the game, right? And I think that's what's different about, when we look at European soccer versus like American soccer, like other countries, kids grow up with the sport as their number one sport, right? We don't have that yet in our country, right? That's not the first primary sport that all Americans, are growing up with. So to even have Alyssa as an option with all the things that she brings, I think was just, for me, I was like, oh my goodness, like this is really happening right now. So that was my most recent one. And I think the original one for me, though, was after the 99 World Cup, because that was just a growth. I think one of the first really big visible growths and explosion of the sport in this country, especially. We started our first pro league, the WSA, in 2001 after the 99 World Cup too. So I feel like that really set the stage for what that team did and accomplished. Especially to have that hosted here. I remember being able to actually go and watch the team in the stadiums in America. So it's just like to have that in our backyard and to see it and witness it, and then to see what has happened since then, I think was really my first realization. And then, Alyssa Thompson.
Yeah, and then just Alyssa Thompson
Alyssa
is
Thompson.
The turning point. The last game, our last home game, I was going by the supporter section, and the front row was a team of boys, like middle school boys that were so excited, wanted autographs, were cheering, like had their faces painted. And for me, that was such a moment of like, this is what young boys are growing up with right now. That growth, what that's going to do for the game, I mean, there's so many different moments that I think as soon as we look around, we get to witness, and it's been, especially with Angel City, it's been really powerful to be a part of. Yeah. So we just watched this extremely eventful World Cup. It got me up at all hours of the night, which I'm a 9 o'clock bed person, so it was that good.
You're still recovering.
I know, dude. It's been rough. And what do you think stands out as one of like the most significant wins outside of like the competition itself? But what to you stands out as the most significant win from that?
I mean, there are a lot, but I will have to say the final, that Spain actually winning the World Cup. And I think because of the progression that they had during the tournament, is why, to me, that makes it the most significant, because you can falter during a tournament like that and still, find yourself as champions. But that's also a testament, too, to see the growth that they've had over the years, from their youth teams all the way to their full team. Some of the players on that team also experiencing some of the youth tournaments as well. So for me, I would have to say the final and Spain's win.
And it was a beautiful, beautiful display of the game. What about for you, Alyssa? What do you think was the most significant win?
I think just how much support that the women's soccer has gotten through, and how the countries have advanced so much. We've seen that the U.S. has been very dominant over the years, but in saying this, as a fan, not as I play on the team, because obviously I'd want to win, but all the other countries have been there. You could see their progression over the years, and as you're saying, Spain, but Colombia and Jamaica and Panama, seeing all these teams get really big wins against powerhouses of soccer was really big, and just seeing how if you invest in women's soccer, you'll see what you get out is just really good soccer, and not men's or women's, just good soccer that everyone would love to watch and support.
Yeah, the numbers. Every time I saw stats on it, just blew my mind. And the watch parties here, they were wild. It was overwhelming, the amount of love for the game, which was so cool. Sports life, we say football is life, and I believe that deeply. I've learned so many lessons from it. And from your perspective, in what ways do you think women's soccer can serve as a blueprint for equity in the world that, in many ways has a lot of ways to go? Yeah,
I was going to say there's so much, I think, again, power of this sport, right? But so many ways that we can improve to really, to one of Alyssa's earlier points of just the investment, right? The sacrifice that a lot of families have to make to get their kids seen, to have access to the sport. I think my family was in the same boat. I mean, we had a large conversion van we called Large Marge, and took that up and down the East Coast, for soccer tournaments. But that's time, that's money. Not everybody has that, and I believe that every child, every young person deserves an opportunity to play and participate in sports, and to be able to provide access. I think that's one of the ways where I hope we can get to for the sport really providing that blueprint of equity, access for all, and the ability to compete. And so I think at a very foundational level, if we achieve that, the sport will change completely. We will have an entire group of individuals who maybe don't even know about soccer, incredible athletes, incredible people to be able to be exposed to the sport, and provide more opportunities, not just for playing. This is what you'll see, a trickle effect, into refereeing, into coaching. So just to create more opportunities will create, at a grassroots level, will create more, I think, at a higher level as well.
Yeah, I just visually saw that whole ripple effect as you were talking about it.
The blueprint.
Yeah, it blew up, yeah. And so many more clubs and all the just learning the ins and outs of what it takes to run a professional club, and all of those opportunities that it created. We'll go back to lessons. I think that's why access and investment is so important, because so much is received from this game and from any sport, especially soccer. I'm going to be biased. And we want everyone to have that opportunity, and we want everyone to feel the support in receiving all of those lessons too. So, Alyssa, what do you think are some fundamental life lessons that you can draw from women's soccer?
So there's a lot of life lessons, but definitely grit and determination. Soccer definitely teaches you that, because you could be down a goal and you have to still know that you're going to win, and there's some way to score 2 more goals or 3 more goals, and everyone on the team has your back and you guys are going to do it. I think it also shows just how love and support can help you a lot. I think a team is amazing for that because, right, when you're in those down places, you're down a goal, you have to look to your teammates and you just have to really trust them and know that they have your back and know that you guys got this, and if you all try your hardest and you're determined and you're playing your best, that you guys can do it.
Yeah, I think that's a huge lesson in life, how we can all move through it a little easier if we're just supporting and loving each other and have each other's backs. Minimum, just do that for each other. What about you, Ange? What's a fundamental life lesson that you think you've drawn from the game?
Yeah, I was going to say everything Alyssa said, but I think the biggest one for me is the power of we. I think I learned that on the field and off the field with teams, for all the reasons, right, of, okay, us together being able to either come back and score a goal, to, not one person being able to say, I'm not going to play in this World Cup if, X, Y, and Z, we're not paid equally or fairly, but the strength and the power of the collective, of the entire team standing up together. I mean, that is how so many things move forward and got done. So just to see that in action, it's palpable when you can just feel that as a team and you don't have to agree on everything. And I think that's what's so fascinating too, is you can have different personalities, you can have, come from different places, but just as long as you're aligned on the same goal, then that is super powerful. So you learn that from sports in a very different way, I think.
No doubt. I think in our team culture in college, it was we before me, and I use that to this day. That is just the mantra of life. How, speaking of we, there's the we on the field, there's the we in the front office, there's the we in all these different places that are the collective we. But for those who are the community around the game that aren't directly involved in building it in that capacity, what's their role in this continued growth and impact? What's our call? What's our ask to everyone out there who loves the game and wants to know how they can help it continue to grow? I'll start with you, Alyssa.
Okay.
I
think there's a lot of things you could do, but go to games and tell your friends about it. Say how much fun you had, because going to our games is everyone that goes to our games. It just tells me how they want to go back, how it's so much fun, not even for just the soccer portion of it, but just for the energy around it, and just how many people love seeing soccer and just how happy they are. I think they love the energy there, and also just watching it on TV, putting it on, subscribing to Paramount or stuff like that.
Drop all the plugs.
Ad.
Plug
it. Just trying to support in any way you can, really.
I love all of those. We'll put all of that in the caption for the episode. He pulled it right out of there.
Oh, I love it.
What about for you, Ange? Any other things?
Yeah.
Or she get them all?
I would say learn about the players. Learn Alyssa's story. Get to know about her, through our social media, research her, and then get someone who doesn't know about the sport and talk to them about her and talk to them about the team, and then bring them out to a game. I think the more that we can tell the stories of our incredible players, and, the more that we can relate to them as people, and the more excited you'll get, and the more you want to go out there and root. And it's so much more fun to watch a game when you kind of know somebody, and just bring someone else along for the journey. I think get someone else involved and to love the sport as much as we do.
Yes to that. And if you need content, go to Angel City. Plenty of content out there for y'all.
Exactly.
Well, thank you. It's been so good to, kind of look where it's come from, talk about where we're at. I know we all have a lot more work to do in this game and are excited to continue breaking those barriers. So, Alyssa, I'm going to ask you this first. As you look to the future of your career of women's sports, what is your hope in where we go and your impact in that?
Yeah. I feel like I would just love for the sport to be like we don't have to fight anymore. Like we are just playing the game we love. We're immersed in the game. Like we don't have to think about fighting for getting protein shakes or trying to get paid enough or having a training facility or a nice locker room or stuff like that. We have everything that we need in order to succeed as players and become the best players that we can be, and not have to think about all the extra stuff that comes with being a professional.
To think what we're going to see on the field when all that energy is going to playing.
Yeah.
And if you're having problems getting protein shakes, then we need to talk. But.
No, we're not. Just
that
like
wasn't an Angel City
yeah,
call
that
out.
was not.
That was from Club Day. And what about you? What's your future hope for the game, and what do you see your role in it right now?
Yeah, and I do want to echo what Alyssa said, because I feel like that's just been part of the sport for as long as I've known it. So to see a future without that would be incredible. And I think the other side of it is, we're at a place where salaries are commensurate with the men's side of things. And that, I don't know if you two saw that ad that was about Le Bleu, the French women's national team, that they used the digitized, all the moves and made them male players, but it was actually the women's team doing all of that scene, and the excitement, and like I got chills watching that. And so to be in a place where, people appreciate the quality that, is right in front of them in a much different way, because I think the quality is there, and I think it's just how we as a society are valuing women that isn't up to speed yet. So once that is up to speed, and then I think we're going to start to see like that little clip, we're like, yeah, that's the women's team. Like, no, don't fool me. Like those are women footballers right there. And when we're at that point, I think that's the future I'd love to see. And I think my role in it is, hopefully continuing to help bring up the next generation of talent and help to provide opportunities. I'm a huge believer in development. Both my parents are in education, and so I think, and I know Alyssa's dad is in education as well, so to be able to really utilize the sport as a development opportunity for young people is I think one of the places that I can see my role in this journey too.
I love all of that. You guys have a lot of synergy or common parallels, man. That's awesome.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah. I think it goes both ways.
Yeah.
You both take it. It's both incredible. Yeah. Well, thank you guys again so much for just here, sharing time and energy here. I know you're extremely busy in this last push of the season, but also just for everything you do on the daily basis for the game, for our world, for women, everything like that, and yourselves, and taking care of your families and all your loved ones. So we have one last question, and it's what is on the horizon? And for Ange, I'm going to ask you, with maybe if you want to say anything for yourself or with Angel City as a club, what should we be on the lookout for?
Oof. So many things. But I think really it's just the focus of where we are right now. That's what's on the horizon. That is, it's very tangible, and I think the players feel it, the staff feel it, and I think that will also help us, kind of continue on this journey of the other things that we want to accomplish in the future. But I think, the horizon is what's right in front of us. The playoffs, making there, and then next up to the championships.
Yes. Alyssa, I'm going to ask you, but I have
Don't take mine, Alyssa.
Similar? I know. I'm like,
I was about to say that's what I was going to say, just making playoffs and winning a championship. So that's what is ahead for me, hopefully.
I like it. We're talking about barriers. That's one we haven't broke through yet with Angel City, so let's do it this season. Cool. Well, thank you both, and good luck with the rest of the season. We will be supporting you from here and anywhere else where we go. Thank you.
Thanks, Fish. We appreciate you and all that you do. Thank you.